evening. Welcome back to our second segment of the Glazov Gang, one of the best episodes yet. That's the feeling of all the people outside the studio that are just screaming and going crazy as we walk in, right? Back with Dwight Schultz, Nonie Darwish, and Michael Chandler. A few in-house matters before we move on. Again, how multicultural and artistic we all are. We're going to start with either, you know what, not another language if you can't, maybe something about being in another country and one of your experiences. Dwight?
Me?
Yeah. Something cultured.
Something cultured?
Yes.
I am cultured.
Okay, no. I mean, have you ever visited another culture?
Yes, I've been to Europe.
Okay, tell us something about Europe.
I felt my daughter move for the first time while I was in Great Britain.
Okay.
I was at the Browns Hotel, and we were getting ready to go to Stratford-on-Avon to see The Merchant of Venice.
Excellent, very cultured.
And I put my hand on my wife's belly and felt this little foot move. And it was my first time in Europe too. But
excellent.
But I, having been an actor, a stage actor, that was my first time in Great Britain.
Excellent.
And I had a wonderful experience there at the theater.
Yeah. See, this is what comes out. Nonie?
We want you to speak something in Russian.
Okay, I will.
Because you keep telling us to do this, but we want to hear you in Russian.
Tell us about your new book.
Okay, so I will. Thank you very much. But just a second, I will. But Nonie, say something. Any language or somewhere you visited, and I'll go. I promise.
Oh, I visited a lot of countries. I'm really lucky. I've been to Asia.
Tell us something about Asia.
Philippines. Beautiful green, the Philippines. I come from Egypt, and it's really desert. So if you're flying an airplane in Egypt, you see desert, and then the Nile River, and little green around the Nile, and then the pyramids. You see the pyramids down, and it's desert. It's flat desert. But you go to other countries like Europe. You go to Europe, and you go to Southeast Asia.
Excellent.
And it's just beautiful and green. And I'm just lucky I live in California.
And you like seeing the green.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is a great cultural segment. This is great. Michael Chandler?
I've been around the world. I've been to Asia. I've been to Europe. I've been to Central America and parts of South America, Central America. I think of France. My daughter lives in France, and I was struck with what I perceive to be a dying culture. I like churches, and I was awed by the beauty of the churches of France in particular, and England, which I also saw. But those churches are like museums. They're almost uniformly empty, and they're beautiful, but there's no life there. There's no life there at all. And that's the comparison I make is that the churches in America are all vibrant.
Wow.
Vibrant.
We have to analyze that in another segment. Ladies and gentlemen, you asked me to speak Russian. I'm going to go out a limb here. The poem is not too long. My father, who has passed, God bless his soul, taught me. He used to get me to ask me to memorize poems when I was a little boy. I'm going to say a quick poem in Russian. I want you to listen to it. Whoever guesses what it's about, because sometimes you don't even need to know the words, you get a special prize, okay? Я вас любил, любовь еще быть может. В душе моей угасла не совсем. Но пусть она вас больше не тревожит. Я не хочу печалить вас ничем. Я вас любил, безумно, безнадежно, то ревностью, то робостью томим. Я вас любил, так искренне, так нежно, как дай вам Бог, любимый, быть другим. What is that poem about, Dwight?
Freedom?
A new child.
The love of a father for his son.
That's
it.
Answer is somewhere in the middle. A man's love for a woman.
Oh.
Thank you for listening. The poem means a lot to me. My dad taught me a lot of poetry. So did my mother. And
That
thank
was
you
very
for joining the Glazov
By
Gang.
the way, I want you to know.
Yes.
You take on a different countenance when you're speaking Russian. It was quite beautiful.
Some people say I turn more boyish than I already am.
Yeah, that is possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us move on from our culture segment to the serious issues of our time. John McCain's Syrian rebel odyssey. Apparently, he doesn't understand what Nonie Darwish has explained to us, the dark side of revolution in the Middle East, the devil we don't know. Hey, look, Assad is an SOB. This is a monster, supported by Iran and Hezbollah. At the same time, what is in America's interest to support the rebels when they are, am I correct, Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood? Isn't it in America's greatest interest just to stay out of this? Why is Obama on the way to arming Syrian rebels that are dominated by Islamists? We go to the greatest expert, Nonie, first.
I think Obama wants to divert the attention. This is a political move. He wants to divert the attention of the scandals and engage in Syria, because there is absolutely no need for us. We should not interfere in Syria. We've learned enough. When we interfered in Afghanistan, what happened? They turned the guns against us after that. So I don't think we should interfere in the Arab world in this chaos that's happening today.
Nonie, what was our interest in bringing the people to power that replaced Gaddafi? What was that interest?
It just doesn't make any sense. And here they are. You know what? Obama thinks they're going to love him. Oh, we're going to take out your dictator, and here we're going to give you freedom, and now you should love us. And we're not going to even put any security at our embassy because you love us so much, you're not going to hurt us. And here they are. They laugh at him, and they have no loyalty to Obama. Obama thinks that the Muslim world will love him because he's giving them the store, really.
And I think that has already been so delegitimized.
Yeah, totally. And so we keep falling in the same trap over again. We don't learn.
Right.
And besides, we're only 300 million. All of America is 300 million. You know, the Arab world the Muslim world is 1.2 billion. Why doesn't the Arab League go and save the Syrian people?
Okay, just wait. Let me move forward. Nonie, thank you very much. But exactly, I think this is Stockholm Syndrome. It's also called the Oslo Syndrome. Kenneth Levin wrote about this, that, let's give them Gaza. Now there will be peace. But now they're throwing rockets at us from Gaza. We just don't learn. But I will say something that really bothers me here. You've got all these bleeding hearts in the West. Assad is killing people. We can't stand by. How about when the Muslim Brotherhood is massacring Christians and Jews and the genocide happening to Christians in the Middle East? We're standing by. Why don't we do something about that first?
The Christians in Egypt are being killed. Nobody cares.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, the selective indignation of
Look what happened to the Christians in Iraq. Nobody cared. Who has the President of the United States, the assassin of this country, brought into the United States, into his government, the Muslim Brotherhood? That's who he's brought in. He didn't bring in although he knows who they are, Hezbollah. He brought in the Muslim Brotherhood. Who is Abadan? Why did Grassley just write, again, a year later, a letter to Senator Kerry wanting to know the disposition of Abadan and her connection to the Muslim Brotherhood? This gives you, the president is following through with all the Arab Spring, this sugar-coated nonsense, that these are people looking for freedom, when it's really a one dictator after the other. It's more imprisonment under the name of Islam.
Thank you, Dwight. And here's another thing. Call me ruthless and I'm a bad guy and I have no heart. But look, in these wars, I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes it's better for Western interests to make some of these forces just fight each other and stay out of it.
I agree with that.
And
besides, they need to learn who their true enemy is.
Yeah.
And when we interfere, they gang up against us at the end, and they find an opportunity to blame us for their misery. The Arab world needs to know who their real enemy is. It's Islam.
Okay, Michael, go ahead, but also inform us a little bit. What's going on with John McCain? It almost seems like every issue he's on the bad, stupid, wrong side, including about Michelle Bachmann, including about Huma Abedin, about everything. Go ahead.
John McCain, I think, was seared by his experiences in the Vietnam War. He might have been a fine pilot, might have been a fine serviceman, and he was a more or less stalwart POW. But as a senator, as a representative of the United States, he has consistently failed to uphold the strength of the United States. He wants us to dissipate our strength in various ways. He wanted us to go lock, stock into Iran.
Yeah.
He wants us to attack. He wanted us to attack Iran. He wanted us to go to Iraq. He wanted us to go to Afghanistan. He also wanted to stop waterboarding. So that was really a bad decision. But I think that's a carryover from his time as a prisoner. Well, when you think about how we want supposedly to close Guantanamo, we want to prosecute terrorists in civil courts. We are stripping from ourselves the ability to properly gain intelligence from people that we capture on the battlefield. In fact, we don't want to capture anybody on the battlefield at all now. Now we are content to send drones and kill people, but what that means is we don't gain anything from that. We just leave dead bodies.
No, we don't gain any
We gain
information.
nothing. As a consequence, we're flying blind.
But how do we even get information when the words jihad and Islam and radical Islam are taken out of our training manuals?
Well,
how dare the Obama administration still stand by Nidal Hassan being workplace violence
That's
when
simple.
he himself is saying that he believes that he was defending the Taliban?
I have two words for you: cultural allegiance. Cultural allegiance. The left does not have allegiance to the societies in which they are. They have allegiance to a different concept. They're not concerned with the well-being of their host society. They think in terms of a global sort of rearrangement of power and fairness. That's what I was saying before, that they want to elevate the underdog and lower.
And because they're in power today, allegiance and patriotism are considered bigotry and racism.
Exactly.
We might move on, but any wisdom here?
I just wanted to say that anybody listening to the hearings, about the NSA hearings, when they were releasing some of the plots that they had uncovered, you will note that it wasn't a single United States militia, not a Christian. They were all radical Islamists. And this is what they talked about at the hearings. The head of the CIA, John Brennan, and the President of the United States, be damned. The enemy of this country, we know what it is existentially. They make it very clear, and the information is there. But we unfortunately have, as Nonie said, there's always going to be a hardcore that will support him doing anything. But it's very clear who our enemies are, whether they want to mention their names or not.
Glazov Gang members, in terms of Dwight bringing up the assassin, and what he means is that we have a president that has already announced from the rooftops that he wants to transform this country.
Fundamental
if you want to transform the country, you're going to kill the country as is and build another one on the ashes you're going to destroy. So, but let me ask this, Nonie, let's begin with you. What is your state of mind and your soul lately when you think, when we are witnessing America sinking? I love this country. We're immigrants. We didn't come here. We didn't escape the Soviet Union to have communism built here all over again when we already ran away from it. So for us, it's very depressing, for our family. How are you feeling?
It's very
And we're
sad.
losing, by the way, big time, but we're going to fight till the ship sinks, whether we win or not, but we're losing.
It's
Nonie?
very sad. It's not because the American people don't want to know the truth, but most of them are being deprived of the truth. Because
They're not being told.
the majority of the American people are hardworking people. They come home, they have dinner, and they watch a little TV for a half hour, and they watch CNN, and the CNN is talking about gay marriage, or they're talking about a little girl who wants to have lungs, and little
Beyonce.
To watch the leftist media now, it's just it's scary.
And I think it's criminal. I think it's criminal.
I don't think it's the fault of the American people.
I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with
But
that.
Nonie, how can it not be the fault of the American people?
is
They
the
are
fault.
allowing this
They're
to happen
allowing
to
it,
them.
but it
They
happened
choose
gradually.
to be distracted.
It happened.
You mean like a frog with the boiling water kind of?
It happened gradually, and I think.
But how can you let the American people off the hook? It's their
people who are
country,
conscious
Nonie.
now, we have to be very aggressive
But
against the far left.
But Nonie, how can you exonerate the American
We have
people when
to
they
sue
are
the
standing
left.
by and letting
we
this
want
happen?
to start suing the left. We have to start exposing the left. We have to put our money where our mouth is. We have to start the media. We have to start
Okay.
shaming them. We have to start using the same tactics, the shaming tactics against the media, against the
Thank-
liberals. We have to
Thank you,
start
Nonie.
shaming them
Thank you, Nonie.
for what they're doing.
Thank you. We're running
to
out
us.
of we're running out of time. The tragedy is conservatives do not know how to fight political war. That's why I have so much respect for David Horowitz, who came from the other side.
Absolutely.
He turns the tables on the left and fights them. But a lot of conservatives aren't comfortable with that kind of political war. Michael, very quickly.
Well, I'll go back to my theme of cultural allegiance. Because Americans are distracted, in my view. They have their iPods, they follow football, they look at Beyonce, as I said. They're not following concepts like Winston Churchill from England or from Ronald Reagan here in the United States. They don't look at the principles that undergird the strength of the West, the strength of their home countries. And as a consequence, they become victims of anything else that sounds attractive. And that's a big problem.
Utopian virus.
Utopia.
Very briefly, please, Dwight. We're out of time.
Well, I mean, you just on CBS, I forget the name of the reporter, but we were talking earlier. We can't mention radical Islam except when they make notice of the Tea Party. And this CBS reporter said, that's the Taliban, the Tea Party. Yeah, she used the word Taliban. And that's why it's a propaganda machine. There is nothing but leftist propaganda in universities, educational systems, and on television. And
Thank
news.
you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end on this note. Somebody very close to many people's hearts, to my heart, James Gandolfini passed today at the age of 51, Tony Soprano. I was at the gym today when I found out, and several people were actually in tears. One of my friends couldn't even speak to me. He's just choked up. And I felt something driving home today. He was very much, it's interesting how people in arts, whether in music or in movies, they touch something divine, and there's something divine in them, and they touch something in our hearts. We've agreed that Dwight will represent the gang just with 20 seconds on Tony Soprano.
Well, he was a remarkable talent, and as great actors are, he was in real life, he was nothing like Tony Soprano, and he was very young. The character that he portrayed was a bull in life, energetic, lightning, a force, ugly, a monster. But he was so big and so energetic that he just went out from the television and touched people. And Americans, people finally understand that this is an actor, and they appreciate the talent and the effort and respond, and it's mortality. It's mortality. He's 51 years old, and we must appreciate every minute we have on this earth.
I didn't want to wake you up, but I really want to show you something.
So how many movies you been in?
About 60. I drew up on the first one, you believe that?
You took money from Harlem's biggest dealer. You were a cop, Joe, and now you're garbage. You're nothing.
Well, you know the story.
Are you in the mafia?
Am I in the what?
Are you gay?
Some may question my methods,
Turn around for me.
but they do work. I like the way you destroy stuff. Good technique. There's a spark to your work that can't be taught.
General Flintstone, have you even killed anybody?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, falling asleep on someone, that doesn't count.
Look at me. I'm big. What's to stop me from just placing you in the hole?
I think you're that sexy. I want to kiss you, big man.
I can handle it. I love you. Maybe I don't know how to show it. I did in the movies or in books, but I have love to give. It's not important. It is. He's a filmmaker that writes it, shoots it.
Go to bed. I'll get you up and tell you where you gotta be.
I don't take orders from you. He's a bit of an auteur. Wow, did I just use that word?
James Gandolfini, you are in our thoughts and prayers, and we have a feeling that we'll see you again. Thank you for everything. Good night.